A new, fast-moving wildfire made for a scary school day Wednesday in the Los Angeles area. Students at North Lake Hills Elementary were quickly loaded into school buses and evacuated as the sky darkened and the fire exploded nearby. The Hughes fire broke out in dry, windy conditions in the northern part of Los Angeles County, with gusts forecast to reach as high as 55 miles per hour. They're still working to fully contain.
Stifling heat has Brazilians avoiding the beach during the day, but filling the shores at night. And we're not just talking about single folks. Entire families are coming out to cool off at Rio's iconic Ipanema beach. It's summer in Brazil, and a recent heat wave brought little relief at night, with low temperatures staying in the 80s. One family planned to stay on the beach until 11 p.m. because it was the only place to keep cool.
This dramatic footage shows just how dangerous fog can be. This multi-vehicle accident happened when visibility dropped during misty and foggy weather on a highway in Zhengzhou, China. Cars can be seen careening into other wrecked vehicles, and you can see how people tried to warn others by waving their hands and shouting. Police reported that at least one were involved in the accident. Some of the victims were rushed to the hospital with injury.
Tonight, a SEPTA train suddenly erupts into flames during the busy evening rush in Delaware County. Hundreds of passengers forced to evacuate as emergency crews arrived on the scene near the Kremlin station. The cause of the fire still under investigation tonight. Thursday night in the big story in Action News is the scary moments aboard that Wilmington-Newark line. The SEPTA regional rail train was carrying 350 passengers when the fire broke out, and tonight's service remains suspended. Action News reporter Brianna Smith live at the scene with the very latest. Brianna.
Rick, SEPTA says it was a rush hour train, so it was fully packed, but thankfully there are no reported injuries at this time. And you just missed it. Crews towed that damaged train out of here to evaluate it. And now SEPTA is trying to determine how the fire started, but they say people were alerted by the smell of smoke. Fierce flames and thick plumes of smoke poured from underneath this SEPTA train carrying about 350 passengers on Thursday night.
The first car of the train was engulfed in flames, but by that time, passengers fortunately had been evacuated. Our crew had been evacuated as well.
SEPTA spokesperson Andrew Bush says this 6-car train was traveling from Philadelphia to Wilmington when it caught on fire near the Kremlin station in Ridley Park around 6 p.m. However, passengers say they noticed a strange scent shortly after leaving 30th Street Station.
I could kind of smell like this weird, kind of smoky, like a sulfury kind of smell. And I kind of just thought it was like the train normal stuff, because it always kind of smells sulfury. But yeah, it was getting really strong, especially as we got to Kremlin.
I started to smell it too after a little while. I think we got about 2 stations down from here, and then people were really starting to notice it. People looking out the windows, getting a little, starting to panic a little bit.
Some passengers say due to the odor, the train stopped and passengers were advised to move to the back. Then they stopped again to evacuate.
It seemed like they thought they could keep the train moving, but obviously that wasn't the case. So maybe we should have played it safe.
Bush says they're investigating and reviewing the steps that were taken, but passengers are grateful workers acted quickly to get them out of harm's way.
I think they do an amazing job of really making sure we're all good.
Safety is our number one priority for our passengers and for our employees. Fortunately, we have an outcome where we don't have any serious injuries, which is pretty incredible considering what we've seen.
Yeah, and passengers praised the SEPTA crew for their quick response, and they were taken home by bus to their final destination. As for service on this line, SEPTA says they'll provide updates on SEPTA.org, and of course, we'll keep you informed right here on Action News.
This is Chicago's very own WGN Midday News.
Hundreds of ducks infected with bird flu have been found on the shores of Lake Michigan, prompting warnings from health officials. Good afternoon, I'm Dina Bair.
I'm Patrick Elwood. We welcome you in this noon hour. Our Sean Lewis is live from North Avenue Beach with more on all of this. Sean.
Yeah, Pat and Dina, this latest outbreak began in December and spread to a variety of different species, mostly in the suburbs, with a few reports to those hundreds of reports we got over the weekend here along the lakefront in and around Chicago. The latest species of bird that seems to be bearing the brunt of this outbreak right now of H5N1 avian flu is the merganser duck. Hundreds of them found since Friday along the lakefront, with reports and pictures coming in from Hyde Park on the south side of Chicago to Wilmette on the North Shore. Mergansers spend their summer up north, but they do winter here in the Chicago area, the southern parts of Lake Michigan, which is why we have seen this large number in recent days. The symptoms include lethargy and tremors. The Chicago Bird Collision Monitors have gotten a number of the calls over the weekend and have collected a number of these birds.
We are being always cautious as far as whether could be a spread to humans. We don't want pets or children encountering these birds, and we certainly don't want it to spread to other birds, because our one concern is that as it moved first from geese into hawks, now we see crows and gulls that are going onto these beaches where these sick ducks are being found, and we worry that it's going to spread to more and more birds.
The health department says if you do see an ailing or a dead bird, do not go near it. You should report it to the local health department or animal control. Transmission to humans, by the way, very rare for avian flu, but it has happened mostly in people with exposure that is prolonged, like people who work on poultry farms. Of course, we have much more on this to uncover and get back to you with online and on the news starting at 5 o'clock. For now, we are live along North Avenue Beach. Sean Lewis, WGN News.
Okay, Sean.
We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people.
There was at one point upwards of 40,000 people who were being housed essentially in these huge canvas military tents. I would imagine if this plan were to go through, that they basically would pull all of these tents and cots and sheets and pillows out of storage and build them, one on the old airfield, which is on the east side of the base, as well as in other parts of the area where they had temporary military prison housing right after September 11th, 2001.
Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them because we don't want them coming back, so we're going to send them out to Guantanamo.
Being a migrant without documentation under U.S. law is not a criminal offense. It is a civil offense. And so the argument from the home countries is that their citizens, if they're going to be removed from the United States, should be sent back to their home countries as expeditiously as possible. They should not be diverted to a military base, particularly one with such a notorious human rights reputation as Guantanamo now has. I would say, take the president at his word until something otherwise happens. So until we don't see 30,000 people living in tents in 85-degree weather, even in the middle of the Northern Hemisphere's winter, I think it's fair to say, expect it could happen and then be surprised when it doesn't.
Reading out of the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verses 18. I'm going to read through verse 22. It reads, "For he that brought these plagues upon you will deliver you from the hands of your enemies. Be of good cheer, O my children. Cry unto the Most High, and he will deliver you from the power and hand of the enemies." Verse 22. "For my hope is in the everlasting, that he will save you, and joy is come unto me from the Holy One, because of your mercy, which shall soon come unto you from the everlasting, our Savior." Call on Yahweh, Ba'ashim Mashiach Yahweh Shai, Rahar Rakak Radash. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, and the apostles in the community, waking up the lost sheep of the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone doing this truth and humbleness and sincerity. Again, I'm going to say shalom, and it'll be a short video. Well, it shouldn't be too long of a video. And we're just going to get to what was post, the judgment on his land. As I said in the video I post recent, the plagues are just being poured on. And this should be a warning sign, especially to the Israelites in the knowledge of the truth, okay? When you look at the video post, you have massive earthquakes, the wildfires without stoppage, okay? You have massive heat waves, right? You had a fog. You had a fog so thick it caused a massive car pileup overseas, right? And so much for your Black History Month, okay? That's mockery anyways. The reports have it they're going to detain, unregistered migrants and send them to Guantanamo Bay, okay? But there are other accounts out there where regular people of color, whether they be so-called Negroes, Haitians, and Hispanics, that's actually citizens working, and ICE broke into these places and arrested everybody. Okay? You gotta let that sink in for a minute. It's supposed to be so-called Black History Month. And it's mockery because when you go over the same old cliche of Black History Month, they're just showing you a bunch of brown workers that was brought here via cargo slavery, okay, just forced to work. And the Bible go into that in Deuteronomy 28:68, okay, into Egypt, again, with ships. Okay, that's our history. But now you got groups like the ADL, SPLC, Canary Mission, calling that hate speech. But the Lord is sending Slakia, these plagues, to destroy this land. That's what's going to happen. And when you look at the news sent, it's only getting worse. How the hell an entire subway system go up in fire? Because it's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, judging this wicked kingdom. Okay, and it's only going to increase. See if I left out anything. Yeah, there was another plane crash. This one was in Brazil. You just had a string of them things hit right here in Babylon the Great. Now you had a little Learjet go down in Brazil. It's just the Lord, he's showing the world, not only he's visiting, but at some point that war, this war condition overseas, that's going to get out of control. There's a condition with Greenland and Canada, even Mexico, standing up against this current administration. There's a tariff war with China, okay, Slovakia, the BRICS nations. I've said this and I'll say it again, America, United States of America, it would never be great. It was never great. It's stolen ground. Right? And that's not a mockery to slave descendants. So after, okay, Columbus had his voyage, what did he bring? All you got to do is look at the image of Caesar. A son of man that's going to save the oppressed and the oppressor at the same time with no true knowledge of what John 3:16 means. And there are other accounts that have world that it's referring to something completely different, but they use wordplay. Instead of going precept upon precept, they just isolate scriptures, and try to use that isolation to deceive the masses, right? But the Most High is judging America, and family, it's only going to get worse before it get better. Let's get some scriptures, and we're going to end this video, all right? We're going to just go to something real basic. Let's go to the classic. Actually, let's go to Matthew 24. Let's get Matthew 24 real quick. The warning signs are there. I mean, you can't get around the news posts. You can't get around that. And that stuff's only going to increase until the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, okay, give the decree for his son to save the chosen, and everything else, including the wicked, it's going to burn away. Matthew chapter 24. And we're going to start at verse 6. And it reads, "You shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places." You see in the post, there's a lot of earthquakes, right? You had earthquakes hit America. I mean, it's just slack. It's just growing rampant. Okay. Verse 8 says, "All these are the beginnings of sorrows." It says, verse 9, "Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and you shall slack it, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake." And you know that verse has a lot of meaning. Okay, it's really about this truth going out, and it's a problem. It's causing, I just see, a hell of a domino effect on this wicked kingdom, and there's not much they can do to stop this truth, right? Let me see if I can get the Luke account. We have to stay up in these last days, Israel, and keep the commandments. Okay, you have to keep the commandments. That's all we can do, because it's gonna increase the calamities, the food prices, the gas, all the signs of the coming of the end of this kingdom. It's right before us. Let's read the book of Luke, chapter, Slacky, that's not what I want. Actually, I'm going to read this one. Luke 21:25, it reads, "And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring." Okay? And you have that going on right now. There's a lot of revolts in the continent of Africa. The people are turning on these so-called powers that be. You can see that. And all these signs and wonders, they're just going to continue. And see if there's any more. See if there's any more. Let me go to the Apocrypha quick fast before I wind this video down. And see if we can get 2nd Ezra 16 real fast. Can't get around the post. And family, if it be of the Most High, I'm going to continue to post as this world continues to crumble under these wicked elites, man. But their time is at hand. Okay, we're going to get 2nd Ezra's. I want 16. 2nd Ezra 16 and 14. We're gonna close it out 2nd Ezra 16 chapter. 2nd Ezra 16 and verse 14, and it reads, "Behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again, and they shall come upon the earth." Okay? "The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consumes the foundation of the earth." And that's dealing with that nuclear destruction of America. Okay? We're going to jump down to verse 19. "Behold, famine and Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourge for amendment." Verse 22, it reads, "For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy." Okay. We're going to go all the way to verse 37. And it reads, "Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack." And that's what you see in these videos. These are plagues. The Most High visiting the earth. Right? Verse 39, it reads, "Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, the whole Heslakia. And the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side." Okay. Verse 40 reads, "O my people, hear my word. Make you ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth." Okay, and that scripture has a lot of that's parabolic, because when you really look at our history, especially since being brought here as slaves till this day, technically we pilgrims anyways, We're not in our homeland. We're not in Zion. We're in a Zionist society, and we know the powers that be rule this world in wickedness and rigor. Okay. Let's see if there's any more. I'm going to go to the 15th chapter, and we're going to end it there. We're going to end it at verse 16. 2 Ezra 15 and verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the courts of their actions shall stand in their power. Because if you also look at what's going on here in America, there's a lot of anti-Trump protests, a lot of leftists, and it's a bunch of wickedness. But these protests are going to get violent, and America's just going to collapse ultimately. But keep in mind, the very final judgment is going to be with fire. Let's get, I keep saying this, let's get one more. I'm going to get the classic in Revelations. Revelations, the 18th chapter. And it reads, I'm going to get to the point. In verse 8. This is why it's very important for the Israelites to repent of their sins, keep the commandments, because this is going to be a sudden judgment on this land. It reads, Revelation chapter 18 and 8, it reads, Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Most High who judged her. Okay, you have to keep the commandments until the coming of Yahweh, Bashma Mashiach Yahushai. And with that, I'm going to give all praise and honor and glory to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh, Bashima Mashiach Yahushai. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, Lakia, and the apostles in the community, waking up the lost sheep, the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone doing this truth and humbleness, sincerity. Israel, I love y'all. We got next. Shalom, family.